Alright, following the Lakers officially signing Deandre Ayton, and yes, it is for real, they have officially signed him, it really does change everything for their team. Now I know we tend to throw around that term lightly and often overuse it, but I'm not joking, it really does change everything for them. Everything in regard to their trade assets and how they might plan to use them, what they actually need to use them for, no longer for a starting center but now for a backup center, so we don't really have to target a guy like Walker Kessler, Nick Claxton, Daniel Gafford. They don't really need to target that player anymore. Obviously, yeah, it would be a luxury, but it's not what they're gonna do. Now with Deandre Ayton, they have their starting center, which gives them more leverage in trade talk, especially center trade talk. They don't need a starting center anymore. They simply need a backup and don't have to give up an entire draft asset pool to get one. They're looking for a backup that should only require a light trade package, and with their remaining trade assets, of which they do have plenty of by the way, including everything from a 2031 first round draft pick, 4 future first round draft pick swaps, 1 second round draft pick in 2032, the expiring contracts of Rui Hachimura being worth roughly 18 million, Gabe Vincent being worth 11 million, Maxi Kleber also worth 11 million, Shake Milton, a non-guaranteed contract worth 3 million, young talent like Austin Reeves and Dalton Connect, and even for their free agency contracts and what they have left with that, they do have the biannual exception. So they could target a backup center either via the free agent market or the trade market. And with that in mind here, let's talk about who they could target, or maybe who they should target, or even for that fact who they might be targeting. After all, according to reports, they are in heavy pursuit of a backup center yet, both the trade market and through the free agent market too. According to Evan Sidery for one, they are in strong pursuit of Al Horford, the former Celtics backup center, also a starting center at times, but they're monitoring him. Also monitoring the trade market via Dave McMenamin of ESPN. I made a video about this last night, and him not confirming a name, but saying that they have been targeting centers on the trade market and even are in open conversation about them too. Which was followed up by Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, confirming that they have been in trade talks with the Phoenix Suns, New Orleans Pelicans, Portland Trailblazers, Orlando Magic, and possibly even more than that too. So with that in mind here, what centers should they or could they be targeting on the trade market and the free agent market? We'll talk about that and try to break it all down here. But beginning with the free agent market, not much left here at this point, but starting out with the guy that we actually know they are targeting. Like I said from Evan Sidery, they are trying to go after Al Horford following the addition of Deandre Ayton, though it's not only them here. Also have competition from a team like Golden State. They remain in heavy pursuit of Al Horford, so it might come down to a bidding war with him. And like I mentioned before, the Lakers do have one contract left above a veteran minimum, that being their biannual exception, worth roughly $5.1 million for next season. And yes, they can use it. There's been some debate about that, but yes, I can confirm they have access to it and they can offer it in free agency. Not only that though, but they can offer it by staying below the first apron. I know you might not care about all the CBA and salary cap talk, but right now they're roughly $5.5 million below the first apron, and like I said, the biannual is worth roughly $5.1 million. So yes, they could offer it and could offer it to Al Horford too. And although he might be a bit long in the tooth at this point, is 39, so definitely not prime Al Horford, but still a very productive big man nonetheless. Coming off a season of averaging roughly 9 points per game, 6.2 rebounds per game, over 2 assists per game, nearly 1 block per game, shooting 36.3% from beyond the arc on 5.2 attempts per game. Very high volume for a big, and Al Horford is and always has been one of the best shooting bigs in the entire league for roughly about the past decade now. Is a very good floor spacing big, is a very good defensive big, even now at 39 years old can both offer rim protection and even some switchability on defense, so I definitely would be open to the idea of it. Whether it's for a veteran minimum, whether it's for their biannual exception, I would be open to it. And between the two of Deandre Ayton and Al Horford, that would be a very reliable and really versatile defensive big man rotation. Horford offering everything from 3-point shooting, switchability on defense, plenty of veteran experience and even championship experience at that. Ayton offering the lob threat, a better rebounder and more physical presence around the rim, a little bit better rim protection and simply a more traditional big man feel around the rim. They would really have both bases covered here between the traditional big man stuff and the modern day floor spacing big man stuff too. and that combined would be a very versatile front court rotation for them. They would pretty much be matchup proof at that point. No matchup could really take them out of the game, and definitely not both of them in the same matchup. So that would be a great center rotation for their team in my opinion. Yes, even with a 39-year-old Al Horford. But if it's not Al Horford and they're still trying to go the free agent route and not the trade route, what's even left apart from him? Well, not a whole lot, and I'm definitely not going to bank on somebody left for the biannual exception, apart from maybe one player, that being Chris Boucher. Much like Al Horford isn't a true center per se, can play center in some matchups, but much like Al Horford again, does offer a lot than simply traditional big man stuff, is a pretty good rim protector and is a decent rebounder, but even more than that is a very versatile defender and a very versatile offensive player, offering 3-point shooting, offering some ball handling ability at the 4-5, offering some switchability on defense. So if you're looking for a more versatile option, either go the Al Horford route or the Chris Boucher route. But apart from those two, then I probably would go the trade market route. I mean, not a whole lot left after both Boucher and Horford, so definitely would go the trade market route after that point, especially for a reliable backup center option. And going back to the report I mentioned from Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, I mentioned the teams that he talked about, but the players that he actually referenced there too were the combination of Nick Richards, Rob Williams III, and Yves Missi, which there's also a follow-up report that mentioned Wendell Carter Jr. and Goga Bitadze from the Orlando Magic. So between the 5 of them, I would definitely have interest in all of them to a certain degree, and they would all be decent for a backup center option, but they do have varying levels of attainability in regard to what it would take to get them, and then actual red flags that would come with them too, which for a guy like Rob Williams would be very evident. That's with his durability and availability on the court. Simply put, the guy can't stay healthy, only averages roughly 33 to 34 games played per NBA season, and yes, per NBA season, not simply by All-Star break or by month. No, that's the entire year, unfortunately. Now it would be a little bit less risky now that we have a more definitive starting option and a more reliable starting option with Ayton, though even he himself does have some minor durability issues, averaging roughly 58 games played per year if I remember correctly. So I'm not sure I'd want to take another risk on a Rob Williams who plays only again 33 to 34 per year, even though I do like his skill set when healthy. He is a great offensive rebounder, is a great rebounder in general, very good shot blocker, very switchable defender, absolutely great lob threat, so wouldn't hate it I guess if you could get him for basically nothing, simply an expiring contract and maybe a protected second round draft pick, then I guess do it, but not my favorite option. So then after him, I guess I take a look at Nick Richards. He's kind of been replaced in Phoenix. They drafted both Kaman Maluak and traded for Mark Williams via the Charlotte Hornets, so he's definitely on his way out here in my opinion. And kind of much like Rob Williams, this is my favorite option, but I do like him for a backup center. Probably would be very attainable and wouldn't take that much to get him. Probably simply the contract of Shake Milton, then throw in a 2032 second round draft pick, and that might be enough to make the trade work. Might take slightly more here, but that would be my baseline trade package. And for if we would get him and what he would offer for their team, is a good rebounder, and that's probably his number one strength. As a backup big, that would be the best thing he would offer their team. Apart from that, is a decent rim protector, decent finisher around the rim, pretty good lob threat, and pretty good athlete, I will admit that, but isn't the best on defense or offense in general, is simply okay to above average in a lot of areas, but not great to elite in any one area. And then talking about a guy like Yves Missi, I don't really think it would be worth trading for him at this point. He is more of a long-term and hopefully a starting center, which it would take more to get him, and after acquiring Deandre Ayton, not sure we really need to go that route as it probably would take Dalton Knecht here. It would have to look something like Dalton Knecht, maybe more draft compensation with him, and I'd already have a problem at that point. Prior to them getting Ayton, and if they wouldn't get Ayton, then I definitely would think about it. And with them drafting a combination of Derek Queen and then signing Kevon Looney, he does seem to kind of be on the way out here or no longer at the top of their priority list. So it might be an option, but again, now that we have Deandre Ayton and aren't as desperate as before, not my favorite option. So then looking to a team like the Orlando Magic, not sure that they're really looking to trade their bigs, or both of them for that fact, but if they would trade either Wendell Carter Jr. or Goga Bitadze, I definitely would have interest here, especially in Goga Bitadze. him kind of being viewed as more of their backup, and I actually think that should maybe be switched around here. With how unhealthy Wendell Carter has been and how much he seems to be off the court, Goga is a whole lot more reliable, not only in regard to durability, but then arguably defense too. Is a better rim protector than Wendell Carter Jr., not as switchable compared to him, but better at the rim on defense and arguably offense too. Being more efficient than him. No, is not a three-point shooter or not a very reliable one, which Wendell Carter can kind of be. Wasn't last season, but was back in 23-24. So I actually would prefer Goga Bitadze here. Wouldn't trade Dalton Knecht for him again now that we have Deandre Ayton. Not going to be that desperate, but if they could get him without trading Dalton Knecht, maybe trading a future first round draft pick swap or two, maybe a second round draft pick, the only one they have to offer, with salary filler here or whatever Orlando would offer from them, or rather would want from them, then maybe I'd do it and definitely would have interest in him, or maybe for Wendell Carter Jr. too. But again, would not be willing to trade Dalton Knecht for him. So beyond the names we've heard them linked to, and then for a name that I would actually like that I've heard nothing about, simply an idea here and simply speculation, I'd be open to trading for a guy like Jalen Smith via the Chicago Bulls. Wouldn't take Dalton Knecht, would take either Maxi Kleber or Gabe Vincent, simply the expiring contract, then probably a second round draft pick or maybe a future first round draft pick swap. Is more durable than guys like Rob Williams or Wendell Carter Jr., offers both 3-point shooting and rim protection, therefore they would get the lob threat ability with Deandre Ayton, also some floor spacing with Jalen Smith, which they reportedly are trying to do according to Evan Sidery, so I definitely would like Jalen Smith here too. Kind of the only combination I could find for that of not having to trade Dalton Knecht, getting the floor spacing ability via 3-point shooting, some rim protection, and even a decent lob threat with him, and not to mention a player that's under the age of 30, only just turned 25 roughly a few months ago, so I'd be interested in Jalen Smith too. And I guess to kind of rank them, in free agency I'd definitely go Al Horford, put him at the top of their list for their biannual exception. Also wouldn't be opposed to Chris Boucher, but wouldn't rank him number 2. Number 2 for me, I guess, would kind of be a toss-up between Goga Bitadze, not sure they want to trade him, but probably would put him at 2. Then for Jalen Smith at 3, Nick Richards at 4, then number 5 being Yves Missi, simply because I don't think it'll happen and because it would take Dalton Knecht. Then for Rob Williams is my final trade target, and again, don't hate it, but simply can't stay healthy unfortunately. So with all of that being said, that's what we know about what the Lakers are trying to do for their backup center spot post signing Deandre Ayton for their new starting center. And well, that definitely has a nice ring to it. No longer being desperate for a starting center via a trade like a Walker Kessler again, Nick Claxton, Daniel Gafford. We have our starting centers, so we don't have to be anti-leverage in trade talks, don't have to give up the entire farm for a center that's simply not worth it in my opinion, or even have to beg for a free agent center that's not quite starter level material. So in my opinion, regardless of what they do here, they're in a much better position than they were 24 hours ago, or let alone even 12 hours ago for that fact. So for their backup center, simply trying to find somebody that's somewhat reliable, fairly durable, can offer them either good rim protection or floor spacing ability, ideally both, and again, simply can stay on the court and be reliable behind Deandre Ayton. And well, with all of that being said here, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the Lakers center options post signing Deandre Ayton, and who would you go with? Would it be a free agent like Al Horford, or would it be a trade target like I mentioned between Nick Richards, Jalen Smith, Rob Williams, Yves Missi, or so on and so forth? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one, and if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.